Hello and welcome to my 2025 NBA playoff predictions. While I believe there's a clear top three tier of OKC, Cleveland, and Boston, there are a ton of fun, underrated teams that could absolutely make a run. Whether it's the Clippers, Nuggets, Pacers, obviously Warriors and Lakers have gotten even scarier. There are just a lot of different potential X Factor teams, and I think this playoff could be really fun. I just recorded this whole video just to find out that I ran out of storage, so now it's time to run it back. First up, I have the Thunder beating the 8 seed in either 4 or 5 games. 5 games if it's the Grizzlies, 4 games if it's the Mavericks. More of a breakdown in that series is not needed in my opinion. The Denver Nuggets versus the LA Clippers is one of my favorite matchups of the entire playoffs, including potential matchups. These are both teams that I am higher on than the general consensus. This Clippers team is not like previous years' versions. Harden and Kawhi have looked the best they've looked in years. Zubac and Norman Powell have both improved so much, and they're full of great role players, Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., etc. Plus, Ty Lue is obviously a fantastic coach. They have experience, top-end talent, depth. They finally have the vibes this year as well. I would not be surprised if they went on a run beating OKC and then eventually going to the finals. But I have the Denver Nuggets beating them in 6 games. After the firing of Booth and Malone, they have just looked like a completely different team and the best they've looked all year, in my opinion. Jokic is the best player in the world right now, and I think LA's lack of depth behind Zubac may be huge. And the improvements of Aaron Gordon shooting or Christian Brown overall, I think will lead the Nuggets to a tough win. Lakers versus Timberwolves will be a really fun one to watch. I don't think Minnesota has enough behind Anthony Edwards. I trusted Cat in a playoff setting more than Julius Randle personally. And even with Jaden McDaniels' improvement, Nikhil being extremely underrated, etc., I just think the offensive firepower of the top three of LA will be too much, and I have the Lakers in 6. Houston versus Golden State is a matchup of very clashing styles. Houston, obviously physical, gritty, not that much experience. This is kind of their first run at it. While Golden State has that grittiness, especially now with Jimmy, they obviously rely more on Steph than anyone else, and they've been here before. I have the Warriors in 5 games. I really don't want to overlook Houston. I wouldn't be surprised if they even pull off this series. I just picked too many series to go to 6, if I'm being honest, and I could see this one being a 4-1 Warriors win, but a very, very gritty, physical, hard-earned 5-game series. On the other side, I have the Cavaliers sweeping either 8 seed, and then the Pacers versus Bucks was probably the toughest one for me to pick the winner. You cannot count out Giannis. He's a top 2 player in the league right now, in my opinion. I just trust Indiana as a team more. It probably has a lot to do with Rick Carlisle versus Doc Rivers. I just see Rick adjusting better to this series than Doc. I have the Pacers winning in 7 games. I would not be surprised if Giannis just goes out there and dominates, but Indiana in 7. The Knicks versus Pistons could get ugly in a fun way. Pistons are going to do their absolute best to just grind this series out and make it as physical and tough as possible on New York. And New York has not done great under those circumstances this year in particular, but I ultimately have them winning in 6 games because of experience, and I trust their depth way more. I'm excited to watch Cade do his thing in the playoffs. They have some potential X factors, whether it's Malik Beasley, even Tim Hardaway. I just think that Mikal, OG, and Cat behind a great playoff performer in Jalen Brunson will end up pulling it out. And I have Boston beating Orlando in 5 games. It should be a sweep, but Orlando will steal an ugly one for some reason. I don't know. Out west in the second round, the Thunder versus the Nuggets could determine my overall champion, believe it or not. I trust Denver's 2-man game so much to where it's hard for me to pick against them, especially when the Thunder have unproven second options like Jalen Williams and Chet. But I'm picking the Thunder in 7 because of the winning habits that they have grinded into their team throughout this entire season, unlike Denver. Warriors versus Lakers would obviously be cinema. LeBron versus Steph, Luka and Jimmy Butler being huge midseason acquisitions. This is probably my biggest upset so far, and I have the Warriors beating the Lakers in 6 games. I trust Golden State's defense more. They have a legitimate defensive anchor in Draymond, whereas the Lakers don't necessarily. It would probably be LeBron if anything, and I just have a feeling Jimmy and Steph have an all-time second series and pull out a game or two they shouldn't have won. I'm going with the Warriors in 6, but it's really a vibes pick. The Cavaliers are then going to face off against Indiana in the Eastern Conference semifinals. and beat the Pacers in 5 games. The Pacers just do not have the defensive personnel or execution to go against Cleveland. I think that Cleveland will just overpower them offensively. This could be a very, very fun series to watch, but ultimately I got Cleveland in 5. If you cannot tell, I am freezing right now, but whatever. The New York Knicks potentially have the firepower to keep up with Boston, but this entire season has just not quite gone to plan, whether it's execution, health, even coaching. And I think Boston pulls it out in about 6 games. This is a series, though, that I'm not counting out a New York upset. Whew. In the Western Conference Finals, Thunder versus Warriors, Shea versus Steph, Jimmy versus J-Dub, I guess. I'm picking the Thunder in 6 because they have just every possible defender to throw at Jimmy and Steph. Lou Dort, J-Dub, Caruso, Cason Wallace. I think the Thunder's time is here, especially if they beat Denver. And I could see Jimmy and Steph coming back to earth if they're able to beat the Lakers. Thunder in 6 to go to the NBA Finals. I really hope we get a Cavs-Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. An underdog story would be fun if one of these teams did get upset, but these two teams are so clearly the best teams in the East, and it would be an amazing series. I have the Celtics barely squeaking it out in 7 games over the Cavs. I think their playoff experience will be important. I trust their role players. It's probably just because I've already seen them do it, but I think Boston, if both teams are healthy, will win this series in the end. The Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. I have the Thunder winning their first NBA championship. They have a top 5 player in this league and an unbelievable closer in Shea. They have incredible depth, a historic defense, incredible coaching. They've gone about the season the right way. They've built the habits you need. It seems like they have amazing chemistry. There are genuine question marks about this team. Can Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren be that second option in the playoffs? Can their role players like Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, guys that haven't quite proven it, can they perform? Can they hit the shots that you really need in a playoff series or game? I don't know. We don't know. I'm going to say yes, and I have the Thunder beating the Celtics in 6 games. I wanted to make this video to see how it aged in the future. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe this playoffs is full of upsets, but I think those top 3 teams really are on a different tier than the rest of them. It's hard for me to see many teams beating them. I think this will be a fantastic playoffs. We'll see. Thanks for watching, and bye.